Welcome back to another video. My name is Henrik and today we're going to be looking at a car that I've been looking forward to doing a consumption test for a long time, which is the Dacia Duster, but not any Dacia Duster, it's the new full hybrid variant, so the hybrid 140 variant. It's claimed to get a consumption of around 0.5 liters less than, for instance, the TCE 130 motor, and if you compare them, this one is going to cost you around 3,200 euros extra. So we're going to look at, is it worth the extra price? Does it get quite a lot less consumption-wise? We're going to look at everything that you need to know. We're going to see how far you can actually go on the Autobahn with driving electrical in this car, the consumption that you get, the cost with the car, and everything that you basically need to know. We're going to be doing 4 tests, 180 to 100 kilometers an hour behind a truck, one at 120, one at 140, and also top speed, which for the hybrid version is going to be 160, which is actually the slowest of any motor engines that you can get for this one. So we're going to look at that as well. Everything that you need to know about this car in this video, so let's get right into it. So join me as we're doing our 120 kilometers an hour test now. It is Sunday, so it should be a fairly high speed. Sunday in Germany means that no essential trucks are driving on the Autobahn and therefore a little bit more open. However, holidays and stuff like that, well, it looks fairly clear, so we'll hopefully get a good amount of consumption and also average speed here. When it comes to the sound noise at 120, you can hear, while the car is not very well isolated, well, just very, very, very average, and therefore it is very loud even at 120. And I gotta say, 120 might even be the speed that I would still comfortably, well, just about comfortably cruise in this car, due to the fact that it's just so loud. And when driving at 130, 140, you'll notice that later on, it just is a little bit too loud, and it's not that nice to just continue the driving at that speed. Let's also quickly talk about the interior and the setup of this car. We do have the Journey variant on here. We have previously tested both the Extreme versions, and you can see we have, for instance, this blue touches in here, which you get in the Journey and also the Expression variant. And you also get this like blue fabric on the seats, which is different compared to the Extreme variant, where you get this like green touches all around and also some different seats. Otherwise, the quality interior just has a lot of hard plastic. You obviously notice that as soon as you step in, everywhere you touch is basically hard plastic. Even on the side where you have your arms resting, that is hard plastic. That is different compared to the Extreme variant. And over long journeys, that is not going to be the most comfortable, and it's also very scratchy. You can hear here, that is very scratchy hard plastic, and maybe just put a little bit of fabric that would have been a little bit nicer. Otherwise, infotainment display, you get that with the Journey variant and the Expression variant. And it looks good. You have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto in here. You also get a navigation system. So if I go in here, for instance, we have Apple CarPlay integrated right now. Have our route planned in there, which is nice. And you get a lot of features with it. You can even get some apps down here. So you can have Amazon Music, for instance, and download some more apps, which is good. Also here, navigation is the standard navigation that you get for it, which, for instance, us didn't work too well when we were driving the Dacia Spring. Down here we also have an automatic climate control, which is nice. You could theoretically also upgrade to the winter package, which would give you heated seats for the passenger and also the driver, and heated steering wheel. You don't get assistant features, for instance, travel assist. You just have a speed limiter and also, travel assist in the sense that you have lane assist, but it's not going to actively keep you in the center of the lane. So I just have a cruise control set at 120 right now, but it doesn't keep the distance to the driver in front of me. But at 120, I think it is fairly comfortable to drive. We also have the city package in here, which allows us to get a blind spot assistant and also multi-view cameras, which is really nice. So basically you have a 360-degree camera, to the sense that you have cameras on the side which protect your rims, for instance, rear view camera and front camera, which aren't the best quality, but still a thing to have, which is very, very nice. So we're going to be driving at 140 now. We're 137, 138 and 140 now. You can hear the car is extremely loud because of all the wind noise. It's not windy at all outside, but it feels inside like we're flying inside of a jet. Okay, now I'm up to 150, so a little bit too fast there. Let's actually set our speedometer up to that speed. So yeah, very loud in here, and definitely a cruising speed you don't want to be cruising at too long, because it is just so loud and you're gonna have to speak up quite a lot. You'll also have to turn up the sound quite a lot of the infotainment system to actually hear something, and it's just not something that I drive at for a longer time. The car is also the slowest variant when it comes to the top speed, like I already mentioned, only 160. The other variants are going to be a little bit faster. But the interesting thing about this car is, however, still the electrical range that you get with it. And at 140, that is definitely not going to be too much, because most of the times the engine is just going to be used as a generator, and only when you're braking as regenerative braking, then it's going to charge up the battery. But at speeds like this, most of the times the engine is just going to work at full capacity to also keep the engine running at 140 and also charge the battery. And therefore you can hear the sound is just quite loud. But let's get back to you at 180 or 160, not 180. So join me as my colleague is now driving unlimited, so meaning 160, even though the top speed we've already been able to get was 171. You can see right here we're currently at 160. You can definitely tell wind noise is just very prominent, especially up here also where the wind turbulence kind of gets a little bit stronger, and definitely a speed you don't want to be driving at for too long. So currently at 168, that's kind of what it's averaging at. And it is just really noisy. The engine that we have in here is the most powerful one that you can theoretically get, because it's also the only 4-cylinder you can get. So the 4-cylinder 1.6 liter naturally aspirated engine, so the only one that's also naturally aspirated and not turbocharged. And that's going to get you a 94 horsepower from the 1.6 liter combustion engine, and also 49 horsepower from the electrical motor, and in combination you're going to get around 141 horsepower and 230 newton meters, which is the most powerful. It is, however, the slowest when it comes to the top speed, and also the second slowest when it comes to the 0 to 100, or the third slowest theoretically, which is going to be 10.1. The TCE 130 is going to be a little bit faster at around 9.9 seconds, but still definitely a speed you don't want to be cruising at, because the handling also, I've driven this personally at 170 as well, a little bit, kind of joggly. It doesn't feel that smooth, and you don't get that too much feedback. But again, you just don't want to be driving at these speeds. That's not what the car is meant for. And if you obviously want more information and just everything very detailed about this car, make sure to check out my full review of it, which is available on the top right corner right there. Now let's look at the most interesting part, all the numbers. We're going to compare it also to the Renault Captur E-Tech, because we did have that a couple of weeks ago, and we did the exact same test with it, with also the E-Hybrid system, so the E-Tech in the Esprit Alpine, so a little bit more expensive, 34,550, our car 28,600. The exact same setup, 1.6 liter inline 4-cylinder, full hybrid, naturally aspirated, 143 horsepower, 250 newton meters. Claimed WLTP is 0.2 less, because it is just a little bit more aerodynamic, but the fuel tank is also 2 liters less, so you have the exact same estimated range of 1,000 kilometers. When it comes to the 100 kilometers an hour test behind the truck, we had an average consumption of 3.7 liters, and 40 kilometers of those were in full EV mode, which is basically half of the trip. When it comes to the average speed, 87.2, so fairly fast. We had a very fast truck in front of us. And also that, if you compare that to the Renault Captur, average speed of around 80 kilometers an hour with an average consumption of 3 liters, so 0.7 less. Total time was an hour, and the average price currently, well not currently, but when we started doing these comparisons, was around €1.77 for E10, so basically super. That has gone down to €1.60 currently, so a little bit cheaper you're getting away currently, but €6.55. When it comes to the total range at 100 kilometers an hour, you'd be looking at 1,351 if you'd completely drive the car empty. 120 kilometers an hour, we had an average consumption of 5.7 liters, the Renault Captur 5.2. Total range of that was, or total trip, 21 kilometers of EV, so fairly good as well. And the average speed was the exact same on the Renault Captur and also the Dacia Duster of 109, with a total time of 48 minutes and €10.09, with a total estimated range of 877 kilometers. At 140, we had an average consumption of 6.5, with 16 kilometers of those in full EV mode. Average speed 124.6, Renault Captur 116, with an average consumption of 1 liter less, 5.5. Total time 42 minutes, and the price would be €11.51. For the 140 kilometers an hour test, we'd theoretically be looking at a range of 769 kilometers. For the top speed test, we had 8.4 liters. And the nice thing is, the Renault Captur was on the exact same speed as this one, so 134.2 kilometers an hour with a total time of 39 minutes. And they both had the exact same consumption of 8.4 liters, just like the Dacia Duster. 11 kilometers of those were in full EV mode, most of the time just with recuperation when braking because there's a car overtaking in the front and you have to slow down. That's how that 11 kilometers comes to standard. When it comes to the total range, you'd be looking at 595 kilometers. That would be 24 kilometers more than the Renault Captur due to the fact that it has that 2 liters more fuel tank. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Make sure to like, subscribe. Lots of time for these videos, so hopefully you do subscribe. And I know Dacia Duster is a very, very popular car, so hopefully you'll join me and subscribe. We'll see you in the next video, and hopefully we'll see you. Have a good one. Bye-bye.